Hello, hello, and welcome back to your Productivity Pulse with Michelle. Thank you so much for being here with me today and spending your time and just taking a breath, because that is what we're going to do today. In this episode, we're going to talk about the things that have kept us stuck and how to break through them, the things that have stolen our time away, and what we can do to reinvent the experience so that we can move forward and not let our past hold us back and interfere with our ability to be able to use our time to the best way that we can. It's time to grab your tea or coffee, and if you're in the car or walking, just settle on in, and I look forward to sharing my story with you. In an earlier episode, I spoke about television being my biggest time barrier, and how when my son left for university, it started me on a path towards developing my theories on time blocking and applying those theories into practical and sustainable strategies. But behind every theory and every trialed strategy tool is a story that grounds us in identifying our foundations and explains the why behind each of our time journeys. We all face time barriers, time disruptors, and time enhancers, things that both block our productivity and open it up. My story is exactly that. I'm going to be talking about the why today, and the how, and how I managed to find my way through it. Now imagine this. It's 1978, and we're sitting around the dinner table, and the telephone rings. The look that passed between my parents, I didn't think much of it at the time, but looking back now, I realize they were waiting for that call. My mom picked it up, nodded, and my dad took the call. After that, my parents told us that she had to go into the hospital for tests. Within a week, the dates were set, and we were told she had a brain tumor and needed surgery. This was a time when surgical options were far more limited. As many times as I've told this story, I still get caught in the emotion. I used to try and push that away, but I think it's important that we talk through our timelines in our own lives. We allow ourselves to feel the feelings. The emotions give us a better chance of finding answers on the other side. Well, the surgery date came and my mom went in. I was 8, turning 9. She went in as a fully functioning mom who drove, who could see, who used to do all the amazing things that my mom did, and she came out a different person. Now that took me a long time to reconcile. Decades, actually. She lost over 90% of her sight and part of her sense of smell, and I think some of her hearing too. They had damaged part of her optic nerve and some other brain injury pieces that happened that nobody really described to us at the time. But it changed all our lives forever. So how does this connect with productivity and time management? Well, during her recovery, something I only learned about really 50 years later was that she had actually suffered a stroke during the surgery. That explains a lot of the unbelievable amount of sleeping and the challenges that she faced, but no one told us about that or how to actually help her through the recovery. So she slept a great deal, and we often found her sleeping downstairs in the family room in the lazy boy chair that we had. And one way that I was able to be near her is that I would sit on the carpet, sit on the chocolate brown carpet. It was the 1970s. Everything was brown and orange and avocado green, I think. Anyways, and I would sit and I'd watch television while she slept. Now, at that time, we had maybe 3 channels, and you had to get up and actually turn the dial. I know, it's an amazing thing. You couldn't just flip from one channel to the next like you can do today. What I noticed, though, that while she slept was that I could watch the show and look up at her and then keep watching. I felt a sense of peace. Sitting with her and watching television helped me to feel calmer and connected. What I didn't realize was that I was linking comfort and emotional relief with watching shows. And as I got older, whenever I felt sad or frustrated, I would turn to television. Watching one show is one thing. Watching many becomes something else. And in the 80s, when reruns became a thing, it became even easier. If I was upset, I could always find something to watch. And that became a soothing pattern to me. As technology expanded, my viewing increased, often without me noticing. Now, I'm a very organized person. I've always been. But somehow I wasn't seeing how much time I was spending watching shows. I hadn't connected it to the earlier emotional experience in my life. Now, fast forward to when streaming platforms arrived, the patterns became even clearer. One show became 2, then 3, then sometimes 4. And while sometimes people laugh about binge watching television programs, and that's fun to do, it can be, absolutely. But when you're doing it repeatedly and it's sucking up the time and actually pulling you away from doing what you want to do, then that is a real problem. And if nothing appealed there while I was watching television programs, I would drift on to online watching videos or movies. Well, decades after my mom's surgery, my dad was diagnosed with ALS in 2015, a horrible neurodegenerative disorder that you would never wish on anyone in your life. During that time, I actually managed my viewing fairly well because life was so busy with caregiving, work, and household responsibilities. But when he passed away in 2018, I found myself watching multiple episodes, not to process my feelings, but to avoid them. And with that avoidance of feelings, I was sucking up so much time, I really don't even know how many minutes I probably spent. I think I calculated it out one time, and it was so staggering, I erased it right away so I didn't have to look at it. Well, around the same time, the remaining portion of my mom's brain tumor began to grow again. And 4 months after my dad's passing, my mom went in for another brain surgery, and she never returned home from the hospital. I was devastated. And I turned heavily towards streaming as a coping mechanism. I told myself it was helping me deal with it, but it wasn't. I was avoiding my feelings and losing a tremendous amount of time. And all I could hear myself say when people were asking me, "Oh, how's the next book coming?" or "the project, Michelle?" I would say, "Oh, I've been so busy, I haven't had enough time." Well, by 2021, after my son left home, I realized that something had to change. I wasn't accomplishing what I wanted to, and I was blaming outside factors. I needed to take accountability for my time. That period marked the beginning of my developing of my time strategy system and the first baby steps in shifting how my time journey was to be written. Then, in 2023, our family faced another life-altering crisis when our son was seriously injured in a rugby accident. Some events are so sudden and so profound, they feel like they change you at a cellular level. That's what happened to me. I fought against falling back into my old patterns, though. I had made so much progress, but the pain was so deep and the draw to plunk myself down so strong. But I didn't. I could not go back, and in order to help me, I had to make a dramatic change in my relationship with watching TV. I'm not saying that everyone needs to take the same steps that I'm going to tell you about. I'm saying that each one of us sometimes needs to face the thing that is stealing your time the most. And I was ready. Well, soon after, I made a firm decision to change my relationship with television. I recognized it as my biggest time barrier. I had been guiding others through time recovery assessments and realized that I needed to do my own, honestly and thoroughly. It was an eye-opening experience, that was for sure. A promise to myself wasn't enough. I needed structural change in the way I used my time. But I saw that when I wasn't watching television, I was more productive. But television was my biggest time-eating monster. And I wanted to try something out. I wanted to try out that if I stopped watching television by myself, would that make a difference? Well, I didn't want to eliminate all viewing altogether. I still wanted to enjoy a show with my husband or a movie with my family. But I wanted to stop watching entertainment for entertainment alone or escape. From one day to the next, I stopped watching programs by myself. Education and learning content remained, but not entertainment viewing alone. I'm not saying that television is your time barrier, just that it was mine. And for some people, it's manageable. Others have different time-eating monsters. The question is, what is yours? In the first 2 months, though, after stopping the solo viewing, I was shocked because I discovered that even though I had all this extra time and that I knew had brought me the discomfort, I had to retrain my brain on how to use that time. I began asking, well, what else could I do in those evening time blocks? So I started knitting, organizing other things, doing small projects, really practical things with my hands. At first it was hard, but over time I moved into more creative work and allowed myself to open up my mind. And sometimes I just practiced sitting by myself quietly with my own thoughts for 10 to 15 minutes at a time and allowing those thoughts and feelings just to wash over me. And it was truly time well spent. The journey has continued since then, and it has truly been transformative. And I would say as I'm now 2 years into the process, I can honestly say I no longer say the phrase, I don't have enough time, because I actually do. My hope is that you can reach that place too, where you examine your time barriers, disruptors, and enhancers, and build a lifelong alignment with how you truly want to live and use your time. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. Thank you so much for spending your time with me on this episode of Your Productivity Pulse. If today's conversation sparked a moment of action or reflection, I invite you to keep that momentum going. More practical strategies designed to enhance productivity, reduce stress, and weave balance back into your life can be found by joining my newsletter at vanartexpression.com. Once there, just head over to your Productivity Pulse podcast page to sign up, or you can find the link in the show notes. Remember, intention plus accountability equals productivity. Until next time, keep listening to your pulse.